Just in time, actually.
Yeah, no, I've been fighting with Discord for like the past 20 minutes.
Yikes.
Like, I don't want to start. I'm like, why?
You're like, why are you doing this to me?
Why are you doing this right now? I started you up at 5:40. I thought I had plenty of time.
Right. Well, welcome everybody to another This Week at Bungie for the week of the 24th. I am Oteno, also known as Soto Entertainment, and that is Caspian. But his real name is Larson, that's what we call him.
Nobody called me Caspian, except when, the raid's going sideways, and they're like, Caspian, get over here now! I'm like,
right,
what?
exactly.
Where? Why?
Welcome. Alright. So, the reason why I brought him on, as you will read in the title, this one's very tech-heavy, including, we're even going to read upon the Europa report and all that for the way the dynamic weather is going to work and all that. But yeah, this one is very tech and extensive. So we're going to go in depth with all that. And to clarify things, Larson will go in more on like what they're talking about, since he's a lot more tech savvy than I am, although I have taken classes and everything, but he's been in it for a longer time than I have.
Well, and just to more kind of give you guys an idea of what the big complicated behind the scenes stuff means will affect, if anything, your gameplay.
Right. Alright, without further ado, let's get reading. This week at Bungie, the weather is changing. You feel that? The slight chill in the air. It's time to prepare for a colder climate. Guardians, Europa has no sympathy for unprepared guests. You might want to come with a weapon or two, because frigid storms aren't the only danger to be found here. Don't be afraid, though. An old friend will be waiting for your arrival. For those that have not watched the trailer, this is it. And then they have the map that was shown. I'm going to take a look at the map right now, chat. It is this right here. It's real sick.
It's pretty big.
It's pretty huge, not going to lie. So yeah, if you haven't seen the trailer, watch it. It's really good. There's a lot of stuff in it. But if you have seen the trailer, we all know Varix is back. Pretty cool. The weather may be brutal, but that won't stop you from exploring this frontier. Take a look at the map of Europa, and be sure to check out our most recent weather forecast. Europa report, 100% chance of snow. You now have less than 7 weeks to get ready. Don't get caught out in the cold without a plan. November 10th is coming quick, and we're eager to see how long you survive. First, before we get into the thick of what's going to be happening in this TWAB, let's go over the 100% chance of snow. Do you have it up already?
Yep, I do indeed.
Awesome. Okay. 100% chance of snow. On the frozen moon of Europa, Aramis, the fallen Kel, exploits a dark power to grow her army's strength. The Vanguard's attention is demanded. The allure of this ancient power clouds your focus and tempts you with darkness. Stasis whispers in your ear before you even arrive. You touch down in the snow-covered clearing, the distress signal from Varix still lingering in your ears. The crunch of your boots in the snow makes you aware of the silence, a silence that is short-lived. It starts as a light gust, carrying away the gentle flakes of snow that rest on your shoulders. Then, without warning, it hits you. A sudden wave of frozen air cuts through your armor. The hut in the distance seems further away, harder to see. You lean into the wind as it grows in strength and can't help but wonder, why didn't I park closer? I love that. Frost begins.
You couldn't find a good spot, that's why.
Right, probably. All the Guardians trying to get warm.
Hey, no one's going to scratch my jump ship, okay?
Frost begins to spread across your home, and the storm howls as Europa challenges your every step. The squall envelops you, and your destination vanishes into the whites. But still you press on, bolstered by the steadfast guidance of the light. Storm systems. The developers at Bungie responsible for the immersive experience on Europa have been wanting to take a crack at a new type of weather system for quite some time. The desolate, icy, and hostile surface of Jupiter's moon offered them the perfect environment for a snowstorm. Europa design lead Alex, I'll just say Alex, Because I can't say that name. I don't know how to say it. Is it Velecki?
I think so. It's Velicki.
Velicki, okay. I'll say Velicki then. Recalls, we are brainstorming, and Ed Brennan, Europa World Art Lead, proposed the idea of a blizzard to help sell the fantasy of a harsh environment. I thought it would be awesome if design had direct control over it, and it didn't take long for everyone to get excited about the implementation. And so, the task of making a brutal Bungie blizzard began. The team tested features like slowing player movement, altering grenade paths, and even knocking players off their sparrows. It was painfully unfun and made doing anything in the game almost impossible, said Velecki. VFX lead Justin Hayward added, "We iterated a lot to find a delicate balance between it seeming dangerous, but without it actually being disorienting, oppressive, or negatively impacting core gameplay. Making Europa feel like a treacherous frontier was the main goal behind this new system. So they kept digging until they struck the right balance. When they found it, they moved on to believably integrating it so that it felt like part of a living, breathing world. Most weather in Destiny is fairly simple," said Velicki. "Because of this, most of the relevant systems are things our skies, visual effects, and lighting teams set up and then leave to run consistently. The teams wanted to play with that consistency and be able to control the weather to create some intense and dynamic moments. The answer lied in scripting the weather in a way that was similar to the systems found in Destiny's activities. After a lot of investigation from some clever folks, we managed to do it," Velecki said. "The resulting system is script-controlled and fully networked. And just like that, storms on demand." So what is script-controlled weather?
So that means that basically, instead of it just being, okay, it has this much between day and night cycles, which we've all seen in the game so far in pretty much, I think, every planet has it.
Right.
To some degree or another. I think the only exception being Nessus. I actually don't think Nessus has a night cycle.
I couldn't tell you if it does.
Yeah, because the Leviathan's right there with its, suns that it's eating.
Right.
Anyways. So in a consistent weather dynamic, you basically tell the program, okay, after X number of time, go and change the weather to this.
Okay.
This is set to a scripted, which means that anything can trigger the weather to change, and it's dynamic in that regard. So instead of it just being, okay, you have day and night, which probably is still running in the background.
Okay.
I imagine they still have a day-night cycle running, at least to some degree. But they can say, okay, this public event's incoming. That means I want you to start ramping up this weather. Best example I can give, actually, is for those of you who have ever seen the movie The Truman Show. It's when they start changing the weather to increase the tension in a certain scene. Very similar to this. They can actually start increasing or decreasing the weather. Like, say, if there's a certain public event incoming that goes, okay, we need this to be a harder public event. They go into more a little bit later, because I did read all of this before we started, of how that would work. But it allows them to dynamically change things in response to activity players are performing.
Interesting.
They may even go into it at some point that, how we have the wanted enemies that show up? They could even tie some of it to wanted enemies at one point.
At that point.
Or high priority targets.
Yeah, exactly. So now they go on to say, does it go to 11? Dynamic weather was a huge step for the Destiny team. But it was just the first, knowing that real storms don't suddenly appear and disappear with the exact same features every time, just like you said. The team looked at different ways they could immerse players into oncoming and departing storms. We watched a lot of reference from nature documentaries, movies, and games, said Mark Goldsworthy, a creative lead on the skies and lighting team. Then we created our own spin on it as we imagined how this would look and feel on the moon of Jupiter and Destiny. They settled on a handful of variables that, when blended, could organically grow or diminish a storm based on the needs of the story. As a result, weather on Europa comes in 3 basic flavors. The first has no storm at all. This is what Europa would look like without a new weather system. Clear skies, fresh snow, perfect skiing weather. Consider this the smoothest sailing you'll do on the icy moon. Looks very nice. Looks very pretty.
Yeah.
I like it.
I want to grab my board, go down the mountain.
There you go. During a light storm, though, the wind picks up. Snowfall increases around you and is largely aesthetic. The light storm blots out the sun and completely obscures the starry skies above you, said Vilecki. This alone dramatically changes the feel of the destination, and that's when, like, you know, the snowstorm starts to start.
I live in the High Sierra, so when you see this when you're out skiing, you immediately go, maybe I should start heading back.
Right. And then they say when the heavy storm hits, the sky is heavily obscured, like he said. The wind roars and the snow flurries become even more violent. The mid-ground is difficult to see, and if not for the faintly visible silhouettes, it would be nearly impossible to navigate at all. Players are encouraged to stick close to cover and move with intent. And then they show you can't even see the structure anymore.
Yeah, and that's going to be crazy because I imagine certain mechanical enemies that I hate, their uncanny time-breaking sniping BS, are going to be able to see you just fine in that, and you can't see them.
Of course. And then they say it's also worth remembering that just because the weather picks up doesn't mean the moon's combatants disappear.
Yeah, and right on time, like, oh yeah, they're still going to be out there.
Yep, even though it looks like the snow is shooting at you, it's not. So with nearly zero visibility and a fallen kill to stop, it might not hurt to pack a thermal scope.
Now, if that's a new mod or a new possible scope, that would be amazing, because even in dark strikes, a thermal scope could be a godsend.
Oh, 100%. And even in the trailer, when like they showed how like they actually showed how bad the blizzard can actually get, and then when they zoomed in on the Vex on the Harpy, it showed the thermal scope. So that might be like an example of what we're getting for some of the new weapons. And I think that'd be really good, because like I imagine that like for the raid, it's probably implemented in some way with like the snow and everything. So it might actually be good to actually have thermal scopes.
Heck, Eye of Another World suddenly got a new lease on life.
Right?
Because that whole highlight priority targets, it's like, yeah, I can see him just fine. Now it's like, where are they?
Exactly. That and Darcy as well.
Yep, same thing.
So yeah, it's going to be good. The sound of the squall. The gust of wind rushing past your ears, the creaking of structures as they bend and sway, even the silence. In many cases, you hear a storm before you see it. The RDO team wanted to give Europa an identity and a voice, so they introduced a unique palette of sounds that would establish it as a recognizable and real place in the Destiny universe. Sound design Keith's... Oh, geez, that's a name.
Swoquist? I'm guessing.
I'm gonna say Soquist. Went searching for sounds that would evoke an alien wasteland that is familiar but subtly unusual. Alien and otherworldly. Early on, sound designer Pete Comley shared a video of seal sounds in Antarctica that he had been drawing inspiration from that really resonated with me, said Solquist. They were characterized by descending tones, clicks, and booms. It was striking how closely tied to the icy environment and naturally evocative of cold and hardness they felt. Soquist used this video as an inspirational cornerstone, and he began soliciting sounds from other team members and recording some of his own material to feed through a custom FX processing chain. To implement the new sound design, they piped information from Destiny's new weather system into their audio software. We used the game data to alter the pitch, the volume, and the triggering frequency of the sound, Soquist explained. Data connected to things like the storm intensity could then be used to alter the soundscapes in real time. There were also wind loops and structural sounds added to locations in the world that were all tied to the same game inputs. These audio cues would remain silent when the storm was inactive, but would slowly come to life as the weather picked up. That's really cool. All of these things working together really made the Europa storm feel dynamic and unique, said Soquist. And click to listen to hear what's up. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna listen to it, and I've already listened to it, so I know it's good. But we're gonna listen to it. Here we go. I think that's incredible.
That's pretty good. There's a point in there where you'll hear it feels like almost like there's a muffling, and I would not be surprised if when the blizzard is at full pitch that it's a thing that happens during really intense snowstorms called deafening quiet,
Okay.
where the snow, because snow absorbs sound,
Right.
become even though you can hear the wind of the snow rushing past your ears, you can hear nothing but that. It like is putting headphones on. And it'd be really
Oh.
crazy if like you're taking fire from enemies, but you can't even hear what they're shooting at you.
Oh man. Oh yeah, that'd be cool.
Like you might have a hive knight shooting a hive boomer at you, but your
Yeah.
first indication that he's anywhere near hitting you is the thudding bass of it hitting next to your feet.
Oh.
It's going to be interesting. It's
Very
definitely going to
interesting.
be keep your they always tell us eyes up, Guardian. The
Right.
problem is keep your eyes up and your ears open because it's going to be hard.
Exactly. Ears open, stay close together, get behind cover. Use the ice wall grenade.
Ice wall grenade. Yep.
There you go.
And
Alright.
it'll be interesting to see how the solar grenades, especially from like warlocks with the sun bracers, interact with this environment.
Oh. Yeah, that would be interesting.
Because they do have a little bit of a light effect on them. So it'd be
True.
interesting if you could throw it out and it, at the very least, provides a beacon like, over there, we're trying to get to there.
Right. Imagine like with like how bad it can actually get. You throw your solar grenade far. It's like, can you see it?
It's like a little tiny pinprick of light. You're like, yeah,
It's like
I can see
a
it.
little
But
bit. Keep your eye on it. The grenade's about to go out. Run.
Exactly. Run.
Right.
And that's when you find there's a cliff in front of you. Ah!
Exactly. But yeah, that's pretty cool. Oh, did you say hold on? They can do.
Nope. No.
Oh,
Nope.
okay. You're good. Okay. So now we continue on with the TWAB. We just wanted to touch on that because I didn't go over it, and it's still really cool. And I think we're really gonna enjoy Europa. Now it says it's a pass for games. Earlier this week, Forsaken and Shadowkeep became available on the Xbox Game Pass. With Beyond Light on the way, there's no better time to gear up and get acquainted with what's going on in the world of Destiny. Game Pass and all that. A few housekeeping notes for Guardians who are being freshly rezzed in the Cosmodrome. You'll need to download Destiny 2, Forsaken, and Shadowkeep to access this content. Without Destiny 2, you cannot launch the game. For new Guardians joining our ranks through Xbox Game Pass, we have a help article specifically for you. Our help forums are also available at any time if you hit a snag on your way to the tower. If you encounter any issues accessing the game content or Xbox related services, please refer to Xbox support. Eyes up, Guardians. Welcome to the community. That's very cool. I'm glad that people get to enjoy all three, including the fourth one coming in the fall. Welcome. Ye old Banner of Iron. A few weeks back, we announced the extension of Season of Arrivals, noting that we'd be adding a few fun things between September 22nd and the new November 10th launch date for Beyond Light. First, we featured some double ordeal loot on Lake of Shadows, which was very nice.
That was an absolute treat.
Oh yeah, it was. This week, Drifter has been upping the ante with Triple Infamy. Next week, Lord Saladin returns with Triple Valor themed weapons and armor, of course, and his Pinnacle Power Bounty rewards, of course. Don't go in thinking it will be easy to snag some loot, though. Control is the name of the game, and power is enabled, as we all know. If you haven't risen through the Pinnacle band yet, you may find yourself facing a raid boss or two on the other team. We come in like a lion. It's pretty crazy. Even at pinnacle cap, it's still pretty crazy. Those are the weapons.
It's an absolute. There's no mayhem going on, and it feels that crazy.
Yeah. Iron Banner is from the 29th to October 6th. Enjoy it. And then they end it with, there will be a few more weeks with increased rewards for Vanguard, Crucible, and Gambit, so stay tuned for announcements. If they add more chances to get
Double Ordeal,
that would be cool. If it was on like a 3-week rotation, that'd be sick. Honestly, that'd be real cool. Talking Tech, all right. What we're all here for. Talking Tech, preparing for Beyond Light. With Beyond Light on fast approach, it's time to shift our TWAB gears a little. Today we'll be talking through some of the back-end changes that will be coming to Destiny 2 on November 10th. To guide us through this process, we're passing the mic to Destiny Engineering Director David Aldridge. When Destiny 2 launched 3 years ago, we had no idea that in 2020 we'd announce a new trilogy of expansions, among other 2020 surprises we didn't anticipate. Yeah.
Just pause there for a second and continue.
Right. At the time, we thought Destiny 2's arc would look a lot more like Destiny 1, a couple of expansions and then a sequel. We learned many lessons from the transition to Destiny 2 and from shipping Curse of Osiris, Warmind, Forsaken, the Year 2 seasons, and Shadowkeep. When we evaluated those seasons, we decided not to pursue a Destiny 3, but instead to reinvest everything in Destiny 2 and make it all that it can be. Check out our longer lineup right up for the thing, where they talk about the Destiny content vault and all that fun and excitement. To support that strategy, we've made several tech investments to help us sustainably evolve the game for years to come. And to some of those investments are arriving in Beyond Light. Many of those changes are under the hood and won't affect your experience, except insofar as they help us deliver you more and better Destiny in the future. But some may result in neat improvements, curious behavior differences, or bugs. This means that on November 10th, some places and things will feel a little like sliders. Only 90s kids will get this. So we'd like to give you a rundown of some of the changes and possible side effects. What's sliders?
Okay, so Sliders was a TV show with, God, I can't remember the actors in it, but the idea was that they kept skipping from multiverse to multiverse, and they ended up in almost always the same town, like their hometown, but they'd have to figure out what was different.
So that's probably the reference that they're making. It's like, okay, what's changed? What's different?
You'll have to look for it.
Right. Okay, cool. Now they get into the nitty gritty. We shifted our mission scripting model to run on the physics host instead of the mission host. More details on this split here in the interview with Matt Surge. When was this?
Yeah, I'm trying to find that interview because I thought I understood what it was, but I wouldn't be double sure.
All the way in May.
Oh yeah.
They've been talking about that since May. That's a 3-year promise they've been working on. That's crazy. In the long run, this change will give designers options to create more novel mission mechanics by giving the mission scripting environment full access to the game state, instead of the much more limited access the mission host had. For example, the physics host knows exactly where enemy combatants are and what actions they recently performed, while the mission host only knew how many combatants were alive in a squad and what that squad was generally trying to accomplish. In Beyond Light, we're only launching the foundations of the system, and we look forward to evolving and leveraging it in the future. What you might notice, the new scripting environment changed many behaviors in complex ways, and you may see an interesting behavior changes or bugs in pre-Beyond Light missions and public events and similar that were originally built and tested on the previous system. We've tested these missions heavily and stamped out many bugs, but some will undoubtedly slip through. We'll be monitoring and fixing remaining bugs over time. In some cases, these issues were more severe. For example, they caused the Prophecy Dungeon to be unavailable temporarily. We're all excited for its triumph return, slated for the end of this year. So, wow. So, it affected it so much so that it's the reason why the Prophecy Dungeon will be unavailable until like probably December or something.
Right, because well, I'll let you get to the end of this, and then I'll explain
Right.
what the big change part
I was
is.
about to say, yeah, I was actually about to ask you like go into more depth, like what explain what they mean. But anyway, one other cool new feature in this area is face-to-face joins in social spaces. So you can now fire team up with tower friends without a long tower reload, which is very nice.
Yeah.
I
So
like that.
basically, and I didn't even know this. So it's been running in what's referred to as a mission state. So if you've ever played an MMO and you've heard the term instances,
Yes.
a mission state is basically an instance. And it sounds like the way they had everything programmed is it dropped an instance on top of the game world or the game state,
Hmm.
which could cause some weird bugs, like when you killed an enemy but the other ones didn't spawn. Or a great example I have of that actually is we were running the contact event where you have to go in and get the last part where you talk to Eris.
Right.
And one of our fire team members used the Ruinous Effigy and transmuted orbed a wizard, one of the wizards you have to kill,
Okay.
to unshield a crystal. Well, the game, because it was a mission state and not a physics state, didn't read that wizard as dead.
Oh.
It it still had it tagged as an enemy combatant, the orb, or we're not sure.
Okay.
But point is even though the crystal visually no longer had the barrier around it, it was immune to all damage.
Oh, so
Nothing we could do.
you have to get rid of the orb first, I guess.
No, we had to reload.
Oh,
We had to
I
reload.
see.
So in a mission state kind of programming, the game checks periodically, and like they said, it was a little bit limited on what it could check for.
Okay.
In a physics state style programming, basically they can have a script running that says, okay, enemies are doing XYZ behavior, have this enemy follow up. So you're going to see, you know how we joke that sometimes the AI in Destiny gets a little, we're not going to say dumb, that's mean. Uh, uh, it
True
gets
though.
locked into its behavior and we can kind of take advantage of it.
Yeah.
Do not be surprised if suddenly the enemies seem to shoot up in smartness quite a bit.
Oh, it's like that.
Namely, perfect example. So do not be surprised if you have it so um, scions for Cabal
Uh huh.
pop you into the air, and then when you're midair, suddenly, immediately, every one of the not the gladiators, but the centurions have their Bronco blasters trained on you the minute you're like a skeet,
Oh, it's like that, like that.
because it can check to see, okay, and now they're just starting this, so it may not be that advanced to
Right.
start. But the idea of a physics engine is the physics engine can say, okay, this enemy unit did this, so these guys are going to react this way.
Okay. So basically, like we'll see it start to get smarter and smarter. Maybe by like Witch Queen. Like we'll start to see it like implemented almost in that way.
The other one I can think of that's a good example that was kind of programmed into it is the corruption strike,
Okay.
where if you get popped in the air by the witch at the end, whose name just literally passed out of my brain,
Cydia, I think.
where Cydia, if she pops you in the air, immediately tries to push you away.
Yeah.
So it's that kind of thing. So more of that kind of behavior we can expect.
But on like a grander scale. Like
Right.
all the little minions will do the same. React the
But
same way.
reading into this, because it's a physics based engine, so it can check for certain variables and respond accordingly rather than a mission state. Reading into this, if they ever want to try to add something like a taunt behavior, a
Oh.
physics based engine would allow them to do that. Don't know if they'll ever go that route, but it would allow to check for, okay, is this enemy suffering from this debuff, perform this action?
Oh. Interesting.
So if they ever want to say give Titans a roar ability, as an example, that causes all enemies near them to hate them, if they really want to lean into that RPG role,
Uh-huh.
it would give the Titans a buff and the enemies a debuff, and then the system goes, oh, if they have this debuff, they're going to focus on the guy with the buff.
I see. Interesting.
But we'll see if they go that route. But
Yeah.
it opens up possibilities. Like I said, they're just launching this, so it's probably going to be more basic, at least at the start.
Right.
But it allows them to be a little bit more dynamic with the way they program things to react,
That's actually very cool, honestly.
which hopefully leads to less bugs in the long run. Because right now it's like it checks the mission state versus what's happening in the game world, and if it misses, there's like no recovering it.
Yeah, true. Okay, that's interesting actually. Can't wait to see how like that improves and how it's implemented. Excited.
Well, and I guarantee you the first week it's probably gonna have one or two times where it just, especially in the old content, like they said, where you're like,
Yeah, there's gonna be bugs for sure.
huh? But it's one of those, please pardon the dust, we're rebuilding things.
Yeah, exactly. Like give them a few weeks with like some hot fixes or whatever, it'll be clean.
When I guarantee the Europa stuff already being built for
Oh,
this method is going to
100%.
be running just fine.
Oh yeah, but like if you go to like the EDZ, not specifically the Cosmodrome, because I'm pretty sure the Cosmodrome is covered in that regard as well.
Right.
But if you go to like the Dreaming City, for example, probably gonna have some issues. Maybe.
Yeah. It'll be like, so I just killed that ogre, yet the beam is still shooting from somewhere?
Right.
Pardon?
Anything could happen, but we'll just have to see. But like on paper, it sounds really cool.
Oh yeah.
Sounds great. Can't wait to see how it's implemented. Next to go on to say, we revamped our content building and patching pipeline for speed and install size. With the tremendous size of Destiny, our complete shippable content builds were frequently taking north of 24 hours. We made investments to bring that down to sub 12 hours, which resulted in a bunch of changes to our content and patching formats. We also took on work to allow us to cull content that we've upgraded or replaced. Our previous patching system had limited capabilities due to trying to minimize patch sizes and other constraints. And the current Destiny 2 install has significant amount of created dead content, e.g. assets in the base
Often
install.
referred to as bloat.
Right. Assets in the base install that were replaced in later patches, which you might notice. Due to all these changes, Beyond Light will be a full redownload on all platforms. We know this will be painful for those with slower or metered internet connections, and we're sorry about that. To help mitigate this, we're planning to enable Beyond Light preload sometimes in the evening of November 9th Pacific time, which should give everyone at least 10 hours to download before the gates open. So that means everybody, you all know now, preload is November 9th, somewhere in the afternoon, Pacific time. If you have it on multiple systems, like a PS4 or your PC or Xbox, get that download updated, since it's basically a full re-download of everything. So yeah. Destiny 2's install size shrinks by 30 to 40% due to a combination of culling unused or replaced content, installation size optimizations, and moving some content to the Destiny content vault. Destiny 2's install size will shrink to between 59 and 71 gigabytes depending on the platform, a reduction of 30 to 40%. These improvements should also help us control install size better in the coming years. We hope to use these much faster builds to accomplish two things. One, help us ship mission critical fixes faster when game-breaking bugs arise. For example, the game-breaking bug that was the Phil Winters Live mission. Basically, they'll be able to fix things like that a lot quicker. Reduce our overall ship pipeline depth, enabling us to work on Destiny releases closer to their ship dates, so we can react to fresher information about what's happening in the live game. That's really good. For example, historically, each of our seasons have had to get deep into production before the preceding seasons launched, preventing us from reacting to learnings from that preceding season. These tech improvements should give us 1 to 2 more weeks of flexibility on a seasonal scale, helping us pivot more quickly in some cases. Why don't you explain a little more on what that means? Well, that whole spiel.
Okay, so I was looking it up because I was kind of curious when they said that number. So, as an example, on my Destiny install through Steam right now, it is 94,262 megabytes, which translates to 94 gigabytes.
Right.
Which is insanely big.
It's almost basically with Beyond Light, if they didn't remove everything, it'd be 100 gigs plus.
Right, and if I remember right, most MMOs don't top that.
Right.
Like that's a lot of data.
It's a lot.
Which also explains why when they change one thing, sometimes everything breaks, because who knows what all that data is attached to.
Exactly.
Basically, it means that there's going to be a lot less bloat, and it makes sense when they talk about that originally they had expected the kind of design development cycle to be very similar to Destiny 1. You
Right.
don't worry about bloat as much when you're going to replace it in 3 years because they'll uninstall it, they'll move on to the next game.
Right.
But since they're moving to more of an MMO style model, they're probably going to move to more of how those systems work, which is you always are trying to cut content or release when you release new content, you see if there's any way you can compress or tweak
Right.
or
Right.
do anything. Good example I can bring up from a different company that just recently went through this would be Digital Extremes with their game Warframe. They realized that most of the super high-end graphic poly models that they had in their game files were not used by 80% of their gaming population. So they went through and they cleaned all that, and I think they reduced the size by 20%. It's crazy. But when you make your game set up so you can go ahead and go through and do that kind of housekeeping anytime you need to, you don't end up with the ginormous hard drive requirements that have been showing up lately, especially for like Destiny.
Right.
And you generally end up with faster processing power. You'll probably end up seeing quicker load times if anyone else has experienced that. Hit the enter button to get past the launch screen, and suddenly you're sitting watching that spinning icon that shows Titan and Warlock and Hunter over and over
Yeah.
for like 3-4 minutes while it loads.
Right.
That's
Right.
because there's a lot of bloat in there and it has to sift through it.
Ah, I see.
Now, it might not be 100% faster because that also might have to do with how long it takes for the servers to respond.
Mm-hmm.
But it will definitely cut down a lot of what we've been seeing as far as just technical sluggishness.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like I said, and the hard part is there's no way to change these except doing a full reinstall.
Right. Right.
Because
Which makes 100% sense.
Oh yeah, because trying to get it to edit the install that's already in there, like your likelihood of causing some sort of horrible error that then forces a reinstall anyways is pretty high.
Right. Right.
And also allows them to react faster, like they've said.
Mm-hmm.
That they can just turn around and go, "Oh, that part of the newest content we released, well that's in these files here. We can patch that right away."
Yeah, that's pretty sick, honestly. That's a great change.
Just housekeeping they've been probably meaning to do forever, and now that
true.
they've shifted to a more of a long game format where they're going to be constantly updating and supporting,
Mm-hmm.
it's easier for them to do it.
100%, I agree. All right. Next, we rebuilt our character face system. We know that how your guardians look is important to you, of course. Gotta look like a snack.
Snacking.
Yeah. And we
strand log. Sorry. What was that?
Sure. Something. We'll actually talk about that at the end. And we've long wanted to add more player customization to Destiny. Our original system for player faces had some combinatoric, whatever. I don't know how to say that word. Content authoring program problems. For example, every decal had to be authored completely custom for each player face permutation.
Means the layers weren't separate, basically.
Okay.
So, like, you couldn't just have, for example, there's that little 7 that shows up on, you can put it as an icon on Exo's heads.
Sure.
Well, it couldn't just be a layer that then layers itself on top. It was actually, each time you selected that, was a separate head model.
Oh.
That had that 7 on it.
I see. Okay. Well, it was like
so they
a
couldn't just change one thing. Oh yeah, they couldn't change one thing. They'd have to change 7 things.
Yikes. This prevented us from extending this area of the game with more content and features. We upgraded to a significantly more capable system with, e.g., runtime decal projection, which we hope to leverage for more player customization options in the future. As part of this process, we reviewed the existing player models with our diversity committee and employee resource groups in the studio to make small tweaks to existing player heads. We're also building a list of Guardian face shapes we should bring to the game in the future in order to increase Guardian diversity in Destiny, with the long-term goal of enabling everyone to imagine themselves as their Guardian, which you might notice, your Guardian's face may look a bit different. I'm excited.
Oh yeah, and it's going to be this is them moving again towards those RPG elements, and I would not be surprised if they go into a full release of hey, now there's X number of new hairstyles. Oh, for the love of God, please give new hairstyles.
Hairstyles, beards. I know
Beards,
I know the whole Destiny community is screaming about beards.
beards.
This is the
They
one
want
step
beards.
close to beards.
One step closer to the beard.
Yes.
For Exos, I would like. I know this is going to sound silly, but I would like metal eyebrows, please.
And that would
Also,
be hilarious.
well, but if you think about it, every other Exo NPC we run into has like facial expressions,
Yeah.
and all the player Exos are like, "Hello, I'm a cardboard cutout," which is really funny because when they do have voice lines in Forsaken, they sound like, especially the male Exos, sound like death warmed over and coming for you. But their
Yeah.
face is. There's a reason I jokingly, lovingly refer to my warlock as McDerp face. It looks like he saw something shocking once and never quite recovered.
Oh my gosh.
I'll
That's
take my
funny.
helmet off in the tower one time when you're around, Ethan. You can
Yeah.
see because there's a reason I keep that helmet on, but I made it because that was my original Destiny 1 head. So it's like
Yeah.
nothing is really better. I just slapped a new coat of paint on it and said I'm still McDerp face.
That's funny. Um so they continue on to say, well, closing, they say we relit portions of EDZ and Nessus. During the early stages of Beyond Light production, the Lighting and Skies team had a desire to provide a visual refresh to the two remaining Destiny 2 Year 1 destinations. Well, that's right, huh? They would be the last two from Year 1. EDZ and Nessus. As they enter their fourth year in rotation, to that end, the teams performed relights and global lighting updates to a number of locations on both destinations, which you might notice. Different lighting on existing destinations. The changes are intentional and are meant to bring the visual quality of these spaces up to our current lighting standards, while providing a fresh coat of paint for some of our Year 1 locations. We hope you enjoy these updates to some familiar locations when you explore EDZ and Nessus this November. We're excited to leverage these important improvements to redouble our efforts on Destiny 2, and we aim to make Destiny 2 still feel like your home away from home. Thanks, David Eldridge. P.S. Congratulations on making it to the end of this long and nerdy love letter. We actually appreciate it, trust me. If your passion for all things Destiny tech is not yet spent, you may enjoy the Reddit AMA that Destiny engineering manager Chris Kasanovich and I did a couple months ago. We won't be reading that, at least not today.
I've read that thread. I think I came in on it a couple months ago, and I was like, "This is a long thread." Oh my!
How long we talking? Like, oh boy,
it's a long thread.
287. Oh boy.
Long thread.
We're not reading that today. That's for another day.
Now, what I like is about that whole lighting thing.
Yes.
I guarantee you that they're going to start with lighting. But do you think they built that whole weather rig for Europa and didn't think, hey, could we apply this other places eventually?
I really hope so.
I would love to see rain in the EDZ. Because it's set in, like, from what I can tell, it's kind of set in, like, Eastern Europe.
Yeah.
And that is notoriously, like, Seattle-like weather. It's like, I don't want it super bad, but it would be cool if it rained.
Also, the Cosmodrome is set in old Russia. That means we're bound to get snow there, too.
Oh yeah, snow. Well, actually, depending snow or sandstorms, because depending on how close it is to the Gobi, what was the ancient Gobi Desert at this point, you could just have it be like, oh, and here comes the wind. Oh, and here comes the sand.
Right, exactly, and then your vision would be impaired then as well. It's like also, if they do bring back the Rise of Iron area, the Plague Lands, since like that'll be it's technically part of the content vault, like in theory, they could add that dynamic weather system with the snow there.
Yeah, they can. I guarantee you, they have it. Like, it's definitely going to be implemented on Europa right away. But I guarantee you, they have definitely looked at the different areas and going, well, how can we just spent all this time building this asset? Can we use it anywhere else? How do we use it other places?
Right, exactly. Because guaranteed, just like the way the new subclasses are, guaranteed this is just the test with Europa, and then if it works out really well, just like for the subclasses, they're going to expand it to probably the other planets and other locations, including probably the tower. You might see it start raining in the tower.
Yeah. Well, and it was raining on Titan, but it was like constant. It was always raining
True,
on
yeah.
Titan.
Because like there wasn't any
one
like thunderstorms or like thunder striking anywhere.
Oh, good lord.
Imagine.
You're just making me twitch remembering Sea of Thieves last time there was a lightning storm. And it hit me.
Oh god.
I was instantly like, oh, bye.
But yeah, like I think that'd be sick because like if since with the content vault, like it won't nothing in the content vault is going away forever. Like it'll be re-brought back into the game ecosystem. I wonder if that's what they're also doing to change up some of these planets that are going away. Because like imagine on Mercury, you have a sandstorm or something, or like the heat starts to affect you. You see like heat waves.
Oh man, that'd be crazy.
That'd be sick. Like the things they can do now, specifically with like Titan, with like maybe thunderstorms or like it might start hailing or something.
Well, and they could. Here's the thing with Mercury as an example. Right now, as it stands, they're not doing anything beyond really visual and audio effects with weather,
Right.
which is good because they were like, it's too hard to strike the right balance of fun
course.
and hard. But can you imagine, like on Mercury? You remember what happened when we were in the Sun and the Almighty? Like
Starts
in real life
burning you.
Mercury. Yeah, in real life Mercury right now, you would not want to be on the sun side of Mercury. It's a
No.
bad time.
Exactly.
So I'm curious to see what they do with it. They're definitely opening it up where they could do some very fun things with it.
Mm-hmm.
Even maybe public events where it's like, oh, so the shielding that's protecting Mercury's failing, so find cover, Guardians.
Yeah, get into the shade, get behind something.
Exactly.
And then for Io, there might be like solar winds or like solar storms.
Well, Io is because Io's a moon. Isn't Io a moon of Jupiter? Titan's a moon of Saturn.
Yeah,
I think Io's a moon of Jupiter.
something like that. Either like
Is the
some
innermost and third largest moons of the planet Jupiter.
Okay, yeah.
Oh man, so you could have, honestly, if it's Jupiter and it's the innermost, you could have crazy like suddenly it's like Guardian, gravity's getting a little weird.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Yeah, just I mean by starting with visuals, which is the smartest way to go, it allows them to start playing with other environmental effects.
Right.
I wouldn't even be surprised if at some point we start doing nightfalls and environmental effects are some of the modifiers rather than just straight damage.
That would be cool. Honestly,
Like-
that'd be really sick.
Like just, as a nightfall modifier, maybe watch your head. Jumping distances, jumping heights are double, or jumping heights are increased, but falling speed is slowed. So you have to then take into account, like, do I take that jump? Yeah, I can make it, but I'm just going to be sitting in the air.
Yeah, getting shot
So-
essentially.
Yeah, because we all know how being in the air works in this game.
Right, exactly. Also, like speaking on like the way the weather would work, and like if it was like a nightfall modifier for like let's say Grandmaster Nightfall or like a Master Nightfall, for example, with the Europa strike that we're getting, I can imagine that like you'd probably be visually impaired. Like imagine if one of the modifiers for the Grandmaster Nightfall specifically, since like it has all those crazy ones.
It's
Imagine if
whiteout.
like the dynamic weather is like on the highest setting, so you have to play carefully and cautiously.
Highest setting, so it's like they could do it so it's on the highest setting and then incoming stasis damage is increased.
Yeah, there you go. But then
then-
then it's also for them as well.
Stasis damage is increased, and just call it deep freeze or something.
Yeah, that'd be sick.
Yeah, I mean, it gives them lots of ways to play with it. One of the things, especially with the physics, and I was just thinking about, is that do not be surprised if the raid mechanics, like, they're definitely going to be able to do more fun things with them. That it just doesn't become a DPS check. It's
Exactly.
like, okay, what are you doing? How's it going? Did you hit him with the thing?
Mm-hmm.
Which also means our favorite sword tactics might start going away.
I mean, I didn't expect the sword to be the best DPS weapon all of the time. Although I'm pretty sure the stronger we get, we'll probably be able to use the sword. But
Well, I do like the fact the sword is super damaging because it is high risk compared
Of
to say
course.
like a grenade launcher.
yeah, like with the sword, you're going in using a sword on a boss that can stomp you away. That's pretty risky.
So the
Oh.
payoff should be there.
Of course, yeah, 100%. You have all that damage.
Until you get flung away at, Mach 10. And
Of
it's never the
course.
stomp that kills me, it's the stop.
Exactly. You get stomped away, you're fine, and then you hit that wall, and then you're dead.
Especially as a warlock, I'm like, I am squishy.
Exactly. But yeah, really sick. There's endless possibilities for what they can do here. It's like, because this is all like the basis and like the foundation for like a lot of these systems that they're improving on, and creating, and I just can't wait. Probably like, maybe even like a couple seasons down the line, like maybe it starts with season 12, but like let's say season 13, maybe season 14 or 15, we'll start to see them like improve on these systems a lot more, and then heck, for sure, in like Hive Queen, or even somewhere in Hive Queen, or even at the start of Hive Queen, we're probably going to see like a much more improved and much more like tweaked and worked on version of these systems. It'll probably just blow us out of the water. It's going to be insane. I can't wait to see what they do.
Absolutely.
All right, and then for the rest of the TWAB, of course, they have the special emblems for fashion, featured artist, and movie of the week. Beyond Light isn't just bringing Europa to the fold, it's also bringing many, many pieces of loot. This year, we're refreshing a few community emblems for you to hunt. Whether it be fashion, art, movie of the week, or the Bungie bounty, we have some new swag to hopefully catch your eye. I'm personally giddy that we have 7 total community emblems to show off. There's just something about that number that we love so much. I wonder, Bungie. Fashion show. That emblem looks really sick. Honestly. I like it.
Oh yeah.
Featured artist. That looks pretty nice too. And then movie of the week. That makes me want to like do a video with the clan. And hopefully it gets movie of the week so we all get it.
Oh yeah, that'd be fun.
That would be so cool. Because that emblem looks sick. I love that. And then of course the Bungie bounty. Looks nice. Shadowkeep variants for each emblem will be available through November 10. There will be a few final chances to earn before the new hotness becomes available. Stay tuned. We'd also like to take a moment to celebrate our community volunteers. If you've ever visited the help forum, you may have noticed some members answering questions and linking players to general help articles and Bungie-authored troubleshooting methods. These are the mentors, the white gloves of our community, dedicated to lending a helping hand to any player trying to get back into the game. Our moderators, however, are referred to as ninjas. They work in the shadows, removing bad actors from our forums whenever the code of conduct is broken. You may see one every so often in the forums, replying to threads, but their work is behind the scenes. As of late, we've also been receiving some help from community moderators during Bungie live streams, whether they be Bungie bounties, charity live incentives, or whatever reason we decide to broadcast. These individuals are helping to keep chatter a bit cleaner. Join us in welcoming Shields to the fold as our for our community moderation team. Each volunteer group will be receiving a new emblem this year. While it may seem like a minor gesture, we hope that you join us in giving them thanks whenever you see the emblems in the wild. The Mentors one looks really sick. I like that. I really like the Ninjas one.
I personally really like the shields.
Yeah, the Shields one is really nice. It's really simple, but like really nice. I like it. If you're wondering, how do I become a volunteer? Our members are all community sourced. If we see you helping out in the forums frequently, or just having a good time in chat while upholding our code, we may reach out to see if you'd like to join up. That said, don't do it for the emblem. Do it out of the kindness of your hearts and for the betterment of our community. The emblem is just a little treat. Very nice, very cool. I like that. Support specialists. They go over the Xbox Game Pass thing. They talked about the the resolved issues that they fixed with the hot fix that came out on Tuesday. And then for the full list of currently known issues, you can go to the article and all that. Enough words and more movies. This TWAB's getting along. My fingers are getting tired of the typing. let's take a break, shall we? The movies we have on tap for the community creations page this week are pretty entertaining. Definitely hope to get a little giggle in there while marveling at the skill required to craft such fun videos. Movie of the week. Why is that the Beyond Light Europa trailer? That seems a little sus to me. I'm just kidding. Good job, Destiny, I guess. Honorable mentions. Hunters have the best fashion. And wait, do you see your video listed here? Oh, that question mark.
That question. What?
That,
it's a question exclamation mark?
how do you do that? Awesome.
A question that's called a typo.
Right. What the? Awesome. Let's check off a few things before you get your emblem. Is your Bungie.net profile linked in your description of the video? Good. Did you credit any fellow creators who appeared in your video? Sweet. We'll get your emblem to you within a few business days. Did you make it this far? Always
Barely.
Fun to have a meaty right, barely. Running out of breath. Always fun to have a meaty TWAB. I'll spare you a long outro, but I do want to say this. Thank you for stopping by. We always appreciate those who tune in for the weekly conversation, whether we have a lot of new info, or just a simple check-in to see how everyone's doing between content drops. Festival of the Lost is on the way. It's almost time to get spooky. Stay tuned for tricks and treats because they'll be coming soon. Cheers, DMG04.
Spooky, scary skeleton on your spine.
Very nice TWAB. I hope we can see a lot more of these in the coming weeks. Although I'm pretty sure not every TWAB will be as meaty, but
or as technical,
or as technical, of course. But can't wait to see more for the stuff for Beyond Light. I'm very excited with everything I read. Now, a lot of people on Twitter are like, "Oh, new engine." It's like, no, not necessarily a new engine. It's more like it's the same engine, but they're adding new things. They're replacing stuff on it.
And they're removing a extra layer that used to cause some of the issue.
Exactly.
Like before, it's like, oh, this engine's great. Too bad it's not talking to itself.
Right. It's like, we love the engine. It's just being really moody right now.
It's having a bad day. Let's get it some chocolate and leave it alone.
There you go. But yeah, very nice. It's definitely a step in the right direction. I can't wait to see what else they're adding. It's gonna be a lot of fun. We have a long time until November 10th, but it's gonna be good. It's really exciting. Do you have anything else you want to say before we close out?
No, I mean, I think we're good. It's like you said, it's going to be exciting to see what they do with it. It's really exciting to see them actually putting in the work on the back end.
Mm-hmm.
There are too many times where, like I said, they just let it go because there's a kind of an idea in programming. If it's not broken, don't mess with it because you might break it.
Fair.
But they're putting in the back end work to really extend the longevity of the game from what it sounds like, even past the stuff they've announced so far.
Yeah, honestly. So yeah, all very exciting. Great TWAB, Bungie. Keep up the good work, and we know deep down that you guys want Destiny to be the best game it can be, and with what you guys have talked about here, at least on paper, and hopefully in practice, it's showing. With that being said, this has been one of the very many TWAB talks that will be happening over the course of the quote-unquote content drought for Destiny 2. Pretty soon, with things coming out, we're probably going to be having a lot more talks, either in video form or on a stream, where it's just like, our plans for how we're going to be going about the story, our plans for how we're going to be going about like the content in it, and like exploring stuff and finding things, and how we're going to implement discoveries and stuff like that. And we'll even end up talking about how we're going to be going about the raid race. It's all going to be exciting and all very interesting. But I will announce that as of the 5th of October all the way until the 22nd of October, I will not be streaming, but I will be making videos for the TWABs and stuff like that still, and other videos for other games and stuff like that. But I have 2 exams I need to be taking for my A+ certification exams for computer tech. And that'll be happening on October 20th and then the 22nd. So I'm hardcore studying starting on the 5th. So I won't be doing anything. I need to focus and I want to pass these because the CompTIA A+ exams are really hard.
And kind of expensive, so you want to pass them the first time.
Exactly. I mean, like I got vouchers in order to be able to do it like for free, quote unquote. But like I had to pass the class, you know. But yeah, like it's really expensive, so you definitely want to pass it the first time. So yeah, I'll be doing that. But on Sunday on Twitter, I will be announcing something pretty huge, at least for me. So stay tuned for that, and it does have to do with the Genshin Impact launch on the 28th. So stay tuned. I've already kind of like hinted at what might be happening yesterday, when me and Eagle9 were streaming Valorant. To reiterate the hints, I will be co-streaming / collabing with another streamer who I have rated before and is very well known in the mobile game like gacha game community. And yeah, we're gonna be collabing on launch day for Genshin Impact. Then that whole week for Genshin Impact, I will be streaming all of that all week. So you won't see, if anything, it'll be a video for Destiny content for that Thursday, or if the new interference mission is next week, which I doubt. I think it's gonna happen in November. Anyway, or at least October. Anyway, but yeah, next week is gonna be all Genshin Impact, at least for streams. So yeah, look out for that. Exciting stuff. With that being said, love you all very, very much, and I hope to see you guys soon with tomorrow for D&D for me, Eagle9, Blaze, and a few others. And yeah, if you're on my Twitch page, scroll down, you can see all the links and everything, including the stuff for TriumphChairs.com and AeroxaIndustries.com. I won't get too much into detail, but they have some good high quality stuff for gaming chairs, and then, you know, computer mouse pads, all that fun and excitement. But for both stores, you can use code OTEN for 10% off anything inside both of those stores. So definitely take a look and help your boy out. But if you click on my name on my Twitch page and click on schedule, you will see all the updated schedule and everything currently. But after the week of the 28th, well, for the week of the 28th, I won't change anything because that's still my normal schedule. Although the week of the 28th and the week of the 10th are completely different, but I'll talk about more of that later as it gets closer to the 10th of November. But for the 5th all the way to the 22nd, my schedule will not be visible because I will not be streaming at all. So yeah, once again, love you all very much. The clan loves you guys, of course. When we raid on Destiny 2 on Saturdays, we love your support for getting us through all the raids. You guys are a lot of fun, and without you guys, I wouldn't probably still be streaming. So yeah, see you guys next time. Goodbye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.